Hey, I'm Beth. This is Remark, and this is a June reading wrap-up. Hey guys, can you believe that half the year is already over? I cannot, and it kind of gives me nervous fits just thinking about how much year is already gone and how little year we have left in 2018, but there it is. So I am going to do a reading wrap-up for the month of June. Lots of good reading, lots of domestic thrillers this month. The first book was not a domestic thriller at all, actually, though. It was The House of Impossible Beauties by Joseph Cassara. This book is luminary, in my opinion. I give it 5 stars for sure. If you have ever seen the documentary from, I believe, the 1980s called Paris is Burning, this takes a lot of those real-life drag queens from that New York Harlem culture and fictionalizes their lives. So it's a community of drag queen families in the, I believe, late 70s, early 80s, and it kind of follows them through into the 90s. It's just so beautiful. We get to see these fictionalized lives of these people who were living in a time when they weren't really accepted for who they were, except amongst their close-knit families. And then it's just full of glitter and dirt and drugs and faults and hopeful optimism and AIDS, and it's just a beautiful book that I thoroughly enjoyed and highly recommend. Go watch Paris is Burning because it's another, I think in my mind, it's kind of a lyrical look at a society that was kind of swept under the rug and then found solace within that community with each other. And then also read the book because it's very good. The next book is the first in many of the domestic thrillers that I read this month, and that is Not That I Could Tell by Jessica Strasser. A woman has sort of an idyllic life. She's mother to beautiful twins. She's kind of a classroom mom. She's married to a doctor, so she's got doctor money. But she goes missing, and so as the search for her happens, we realize that this wonderful, beautiful life she had may not have been all it was cracked up to be. And so the finger of suspicion is pointed at everyone. Is it the nosy neighbor who is a stay-at-home mom who seems to have too perfect of a life but this dark smear from her past? Is it her husband who seems to be really struggling with her disappearance? Is it this single woman who is heartbroken? We kind of see glimpses into each of their lives and each of their hearts, and I think that's the good thing about this book is that each of the characters is really nicely drawn and fleshed out. Except, of course, the woman who goes missing. You don't really get to know her, but you get to know the people in her orbit as they look for her. Another in the domestic thriller genre is The Perfect Mother by Amy Malloy. This is another missing persons book in which a baby has gone missing. A baby! When you think about domestic thrillers, that's one of the biggest terrors is a child or a baby going missing because they're so helpless and innocent. And so pretty much everyone is thrown into suspicion. Is it the weird mom? Did she do something to the baby? This book does tricks with the narration. You can't always trust who's telling you the story and who people say they are. I don't want to say more because I don't want to spoil it, but it's another one of those where everybody is under the microscope of suspicion, or whatever analogy you want to put to that. This next book is one of 3 domestic thrillers, big surprise there, that represent crappy husbands. I don't know what my deal is this month. I'm reading about home being dangerous and husbands being crapified. Don't know why. I don't feel that way personally, but there you go. It's just a kick I managed to get on this month and managed to not get off of. So, The Widower's Wife by Kate Houlihan is one of those books that features a husband who is just full of crap. He has lost his job, and along with it, he's lost his groove. He's lost his mojo. But it's not like he's moping around depressed. Instead, he's kind of terrorizing his wife and making her feel like crap and just being a horrible dude to the point that we wonder what was she doing with him in the first place if he's such a horrible guy. And when he was making so much money, didn't they think about, instead of buying a $4,000 table, putting some of that money away into savings for a rainy day such as this? Not that it's my job to judge them or what they do with their pocketbooks at all, but one of them goes missing. What? What a surprise. One of them goes missing, and so we figure out, was there a big plan going on? Who got double-crossed? Who got bamboozled? Because of course, in one of these domestic thrillers with twists and turns, there's a lot of bamboozling going on. Nice read, not the most groundbreaking of thrillers, but still thrilly enough to keep you on the edge of your seat. That's very cliched, but I said it. Another book is Behind Closed Doors by B.A. Paris. This is one that I enjoyed very thoroughly. It has a husband who literally kidnaps his wife and keeps her prisoner. Yes, prisoner. So it kind of does away with all of those she should have or she could have arguments that you would have in a book such as this. Like, why didn't she just leave him? Why didn't she tell someone? The author B.A. Paris did a great job of answering all of those what-ifs with she couldn't. This is why she couldn't. It was really kind of masterful the way she did it, to the point that she kind of had a stranglehold on the character and us as readers, to where we had to follow this narrative. We couldn't think about the different double crosses or things like that, because the path could only go in this one direction, and it was the direction which he dictated. Very interesting read. Very interesting. I highly recommend it as one of the domestic thrillers. Another book I read this month by B.A. Paris that I did not enjoy so much was Bring Me Back. I don't know why I always feel like I have to say that like it's a song lyric, but bring me back. Oh, my darling. Ugh. Bring Me Back did kind of a lot of explaining. Lots and lots of explaining. So something would happen and then the character would be like, what? And other characters would have to explain to him for pages and pages what was going on and why. Or something would happen with the Russian dolls, which was a big theme through the book. The main character, he would see the Russian doll and then think about it for pages and pages. Maybe it was placed by so-and-so. Maybe it was placed by this person. How did it happen? When did it happen? Where did it happen? He thinks a lot, and we see just pages and pages of explanation. Even at the end, where there's a big twist that happens, a twist I saw coming, there are still pages and pages of explanation for that in the form of a very, very long and detailed letter. And so, not my favorite from B.A. Paris. I would highly recommend, if you're going to read only one from that author, go with Behind Closed Doors. But I don't want to dissuade you from reading Bring Me Back either. If that's your cup of tea, then drink it and enjoy it. Yet another domestic thriller this month that I read was The Marriage Lie by Kimberly Bell. It is another of those husbands are crappy types of books. Iris and Will have another idyllic marriage. Everything seems perfect. They love each other madly. Will goes away on a plane trip and then the plane crashes. And so Iris, as she is sorting through all the paperwork, all of the I's that need to be dotted and T's that need to be crossed, comes across the fact that Will was not on that plane that crashed after all. And so she's trying to figure out what exactly happened to my husband, what is going on with this mystery life that he seems to have been living. He's dead, how do I go on? My heart is still breaking, but it's looking like he was kind of a craptastic person. So it goes through her just uncovering all sorts of things. Meanwhile, someone has caught on to the fact that she is doing some digging and says, stop that digging or else. And of course, once you've started looking for something and someone tells you to stop looking at it, what are you going to do? Look at it all the more. And so she does, and the threats escalate. Alright, so this one shifts from domestic thrillers over into the horror genre, the vampire horror genre, Those Across the River by Christopher Buehlman. A man and his new wife have moved to a small town after he's inherited his aunt's house. In the will, she explicitly states, do not live in the house. Just sell it, get rid of it, take the money, and go. But this man, his wife, he got her through having an adulterous affair. Both of their reputations were ruined, and they thought that this was just the perfect opportunity for a new life, new start, in a new place. So they move into the house. One of the major themes of horror is the harbinger of ill will. the harbinger of evil to come that says, don't do that, bad things will happen if you do that. And then the main characters say, I'll take that into consideration, I'm gonna do it anyway. And so they move into the house and do exactly what they've been told not to, and then find out that those people who live across the river are not fully human. There is something funky going on with them. So it kind of has a slow build, a slow burn of the horror gradually dawning on these people as they get more and more settled into this small town. And then once the horror gets up to a certain point, all hell breaks loose. And so it's a really interesting take on the vampire tale. It's kind of a fresh look. Shifting from fictional horror into true life nonfiction horror, I read I'll Be Gone in the Dark by Michelle McNamara. This is a true crime book. She was following this case of the Golden State Killer, also called the East Area Rapist, very, very closely. Apparently there's a whole kind of an underground group of true crime, I don't want to say aficionados because I wouldn't say they love true crime, but they're true crime followers who look at all the clues. They spend lots and lots of time on these true crime cases to try and find a clue that maybe the police couldn't find, or maybe they'll do some looking that the police just don't have the manpower or the legal wherewithal to be able to look at. Heartbreaking book, heartbreaking cases that she followed this string that happened for years and years and years. It's good to know that the police have finally apprehended someone, and hopefully the case can be put to rest. Rounding out this month's reading is Sunburn by Laura Lippman. I'm bookending this month with two excellent books, starting with The House of Impossible Beauties, which was itself impossibly beautiful, and ending with Sunburn, which read kind of like a sunburn. It's scorched. It's very much noir-ish. It's set in the 1990s, I believe 1995, so it's not exactly, back in the 1940s like those old movies you might watch like Double Indemnity or what's the one with Joan Crawford, and she has the terrible, terrible daughter, and it was remade with Kate Winslet, Myrna something. I'm going to remember after I stop taping, which just kills me. Meredith, no. Myrna Loy, no. Anyway, it's not set in the noirish time like those old black and white movies that you might recognize are, but it's in more modern times. But the brilliant thing that Laura Lippman did with this was she set it before the time of cell phones. So before, the digital footprint was as easy to trace as it is now, and someone could realistically go off the grid and have a time where their identity was just their own. They could make up any identity that they wanted. That's what this woman, Polly, has done within the pages of Sunburn. She has left this storied life that she has behind. We all know she has a dark past. We don't know exactly the nature of that past. She's starting over in a new town, meets a guy, and knows that he's going to fall for her because she is just a femme fatale like that. The men, of course, are going to fall for her. He does. They start a passionate affair, and you never know, is it true love, or is she playing him? Or is he playing her because he has secrets of his own? Meredith Russo. No, why can't I think of it? Eat at M's. Eat at Myrna's. It's gonna kill me that I can't think of that movie name. I don't know if that even counts as noir, but I love it so. I'm gonna just read to you what I wrote about this because part of what I loved about Sunburn was just the experience of reading it, the feeling that I had while reading it, kind of the atmosphere that it imparts through its words and its pages. Sunburn leaves a raspy aftertaste. It's like a cigarette on a hot, muggy night. It sits in a rickety lawn chair in front of a rundown motel in a town where no one knows you. The surroundings are low class, but the scene is a peaceful break from the bustle of real life. So that's kind of the feeling that I had while reading Sunburn, and maybe the feeling that you can get too. It's slow, it's raspy, it's gritty, but oh, it's so sweet. I love it. So I hope you had a good reading month in June. Thank you so much for watching, and I will catch you on the next one. See you later. Bye.